thank you for taking the time to doing this today. I absolutely love the after party. It was a really nice surprise, but also I'm a big fan of your work and just your creativity in general. It's just completely amazes me. So
Thanks, Steven. I appreciate it, man. That's so nice of you.
my first question, where and when did your entertainment bug bite you?
Oh, there's nobody in my family that did this, and we didn't have anybody I could point to, so it didn't seem like an option, a real option. And I guess at the end of college, I was too nervous to audition for the improv team in college. I went to Union College, and the improv team was called Idle Minds. Because we had an idol thing statue or whatever, the statue called the idol near us. And I was too nervous to audition because I was afraid people would tell me I'm not funny. And I was like, I don't want to deal with like, or just failing, just a fear of
Mhm.
failing. You know what I mean? I'm still young. And so my girlfriend at the time forced me to audition. I did. I got on the improv team, and me and another gentleman named Drew ended up being two of the people that people really enjoyed on the team. And all of a sudden, my confidence started going up and being like, oh, maybe I could do this. And then in college, I was so close to getting cum laude, and the football players who were failing, so they wouldn't fail out, would take an acting class. I was like, I'm going to take an acting class, but just to get cum laude. I just need one more A to get cum laude. And a part of the acting class was you had to audition for the play, and I auditioned for a Brecht play, and I got the lead role. And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, I love this. I would love to keep acting and trying to make people laugh." And so that was when it started. But I've always loved comedy my whole life, but I didn't take my first risk till college.
What direction were you heading before this all happened? The improv and the acting class.
Steven, my major, I'm an anthropology, psychology dual major. So I had two majors. And if I look back at it now, there's a piece of me that realizes that I loved psychology. I still do. I love psychology. But the way that I would write papers for those two places was like a very creative, weird way. And I got away with it and be really fun. Like abnormal psychology, I was supposed to break down all the different factions of abnormal psychology. And I related them all to Peanuts characters. So instead of just writing that article, I'd write a weird paper being like, okay, these are what we're all supposed to do a report on, but I'm going to tell you how all these are evident in all these Peanuts characters. And I remember this is a thing that gave me confidence. The teacher wrote back, said, "It's clear you barely did the research." He said, "But this is the most entertaining paper I've read in whatever. So I'm going to give you a B plus, but just know that you have to do the research next time." So that kind of like I was like, oh, with words I can make people laugh too and stuff like that.
It's fantastic. I think having that depth and having that you actually studied all this and have these other interests probably makes you a more well-rounded comedian, which kind of actually leads into what I was going to get to next. But if you want to comment on that, you
I
sure
think it's a
can.
great. I can't wait to hear what this transition is, Stephen. Everybody's talking about what you're about to lead into next, but I actually think you're absolutely correct. I don't think I'm happy my path wasn't. I'm going to go to acting class, camp when I'm a kid, or I'm going to go to acting. It was being a normal kid, not even thinking that this is possible because it didn't feel possible. It was also before Twitter and Instagram. Like you never see any movie stars like in real life or TV stars, so or like in their normal habitat. So it's like, and then I got all that knowledge and all this real world experience, and then started tackling whatever. So it wasn't like I grew up the whole industry because sometimes you'll see some people who've been around from the beginning and when you meet them, I'm like, hey, what's going on, Ben? Hi, how are you? My name is Steven. And I'm like, whoa, take it down a notch. So it's like, I agree with you. I really like the idea of coming up the way everybody does, then finding a passion and following it and working my ass off to try to get it done.
That's great. So now that you've built it up, my transition, I don't think it's going to be all that great, but you worked with Conan O'Brien, who is known for, where did he go? He went to Harvard?
Yes. What did I do with Conan?
It says your first credit says your first credited role on
Oh
IMDb.
my God. I played a robot on a sketch for Conan O'Brien. And the other thing I did was I played a page in one of like these little, in like a little sketch. And by the way, I don't think I've ever been so nervous. I remember like, I get nervous for big things still, but it's like the beginning when you've never been on camera before. And they're like, okay, you're going to be on camera, or like auditioning for my Harold team, which is like the group team at Upright Citizens Brigade. I don't think I've ever been more nervous for any audition in my entire life than auditioning to try to get on this team that I've been taking classes for years. But yeah, so Conan was one of my first ever credits. I was a page at Letterman at the time. One time I was in the background handing out peas. That was the first time I was ever on television. And then it was me on Conan, and then it was commercials, and those were the first times I was ever on television.
Yeah, I had Letterman too. I heard you were a page as well, which led to you actually writing some jokes, which is
Yeah,
pretty
I ended up being
incredible.
a freelance monologue writer, and I still have my binder of the thousands of rejected jokes. That's how I started my website, rejectedjokes.com.
Oh, wow.
I that like so the beginning. I was like, what? I was writing these things, and I was like, I need people in LA to see some of the stuff I do, so I can hopefully get cast one day. So I was like, I'm going to start this website of all the jokes that got rejected from Weekend Update that I was freelancing for and Letterman. And so I started rejectedjokes.com, and I'd perform the jokes in front of nobody. So the whole idea is I'm performing it in front of a group of nobody, and then I put them online and have special guests on. Then I started making short films and directing short films and acting short films and trying to get anybody to notice me to put me in something.
Because so
Oh
many
my
so many
God.
great performers came through Conan, and it's like,
Especially UCB performers, Upright Citizens Brigade performers in New York. It was a huge way for us to try to make some money on the side, and it would be a huge deal. You tell your like parents, "Oh my God, I'm going to be on Conan tonight," and then you wouldn't be on Conan. You get cut or something like that. I played a robot that I don't think ever got on the thing, but it was very exciting.
maybe I saw you elsewhere then, if I did not see you as a robot.
No, you could
Yeah, I guess if
absolutely.
you're a robot.
I was on camera for one of those things. You could
Okay.
absolutely see me then.
Who are your comedic idols?
Oh wow, comedic idols. Man, it's hard. It's like coming up at Upright Citizens Brigade. I thought Amy Poehler was a genius. I'd watch her perform and be like, wow, I'd love to do that. That whole Upright Citizens Brigade to me was a huge deal. Like Ian Roberts, Matt Besser, Matt Walsh, Amy, they were like the super group for us. So it was like magic to watch them perform. And I was interning so I could afford free classes, and I'd watch them perform. And that's a big way of how I got better also, learning, watch the greats do it and learning from them. Um, I loved Steve Martin. I loved SNL. I loved Kids in the Hall when I was a kid. I loved John Candy. I loved Eddie Murphy. All those, like anytime I was watching, I loved comedies. I loved comedies. And then what's a huge influence for me is The Simpsons. Animated shows were huge for me. Looney Tunes probably taught me my comedic timing. I watched every Looney Tunes in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then somehow enjoyed classical music through it because half their soundtracks were classical. And then Simpsons, the cadence and the rhythm of The Simpsons was a huge deal to me, and still drives the way that I write today. Because those Simpsons, when I was a kid, watching seasons 3 through 10 or whatever it is,
Hmm.
it's some of the best writers in the world writing some of the best episodes in the world.
It must be why your comedic instincts hit with me, because you pretty much named my Mount Rushmore of comedy and shows. Looney Tunes, same thing. It's like you have
Yeah,
your history. And Looney Tunes go back 40, 50, 60 years now, I think, or maybe even.
yeah, man. It's think about it. It's how we were raised. And my favorite
Yeah.
five TV shows were probably Larry Sanders Show, Freaks and Geeks, the UK version of The Office, Arrested Development, and The Simpsons. Those are probably the five that shaped me as an adult. And then as a kid, it's Looney Tunes and Simpsons and stuff like that.
So was singing always part of your creative package?
When I was in high school, I was in every singing group, all of them. I did all of them, all county chorus, madrigals, everything that would let me sing. And then when I was in college, I never auditioned for the musical though because I was too afraid of auditioning and then not getting it, so I just never did it. And I was playing basketball for the school, my high school at the time. So after that, it wasn't much singing at all. And then slowly in roles, I would like do little ditties, or John Ralphio, a character from Parks and Rec, would like do these little thingies, but never was maybe as like DuckTales, I would sing a couple times, but the after party was the first time where it was like, all right, you're not singing as an animated duck, you're singing and we're trying to nail
Mhm.
it. So let's get a vocal coach, let's really see how well we can do. And it was thrilling and also terrifying in the beginning, but then I'm so happy with how it came out. I think those music videos came out so cool.
Oh, I'll get into that in just a minute. But before I do, I don't want to forget this. Whoever your girlfriend was at the time who pushed you to audition, go thank her on behalf of the fans, because imagine what would the difference? You would have been the most entertaining anthropologist, or whatever it was.
Her name was Tina Rizzitano, and it was at Union College. And I think she and her friend Katie Melito Wow, I haven't said the name Katie Melito in a while. She was the best. Katie Melito was on the improv team and she was leaving. And Melito and Tina, who I was dating at the time, were like, just audition. Stop saying you're afraid. Just audition for it. I know you want to. And like, go. And so they pushed me to audition and I got on. You're right. I have thanked Tina in the past, but I'm going to give Katie Melito uh, a shout out because she was on that team and helped that stuff as well.
Shout out to Katie.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Unless I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't remember any of this, right?
So speaking of the after party, how did you get involved with the series?
Okay, so Chris sent me an email, said, "Hey, I wrote this show, and there's a character I wrote with you in mind." I was like, "Already, I'm in." He didn't have to say anything else. Lord and Miller are like top 5 directors for me. Like when they talk about who you want to work with, those are the people I want to work with. And so I didn't tell him, but I was like, I'm in. It doesn't, I don't have to read the email more. I read the first sentence, I'm in. He goes, it's a murder mystery. I'm like, oh my God, I love murder mysteries. And he says, and it's like a Rashomon type thing where everybody explains what happened to them in the night. Everybody gets their own episode, but it's told in a different genre of film. So there'll be an action comedy, romantic comedy, and your episode is told like a musical, a big budget musical. And you're going to have a Hamilton type song. You're going to have like a School of Rock song. You're going to have an emo crying into your guitar song. So, I mean, already I'm in heaven. And then, are we doing spoilers or no?
No, I'd say no spoilers.
Okay.
I'm a spoiler
so
freak, I
then,
guess.
so great, I love it. So he gave me all that information, and I immediately said yes, but that's it. And then he said, I'm going to give you the first 3 scripts. I read them. I got to read my songs, and it was just heaven. I was so excited. And then the only thing we had to figure out was Space Force was going to film close to when it was filming, and we had to figure out the COVID of it all to make sure I had enough time in between just in case something gets pushed. And we figured it out. And Afterparty is one of the things I am most proud of being part of. I just think it's such a lovely television show. I really think Chris and Phil did an incredible job.
Yeah, when Chris Lord or Phil Lord and Chris Miller come to you, they probably had you at hello, right? It was like,
oh, I got getting an email from Chris. I was so excited, and then when he said, yeah, there's a show that I wrote a role for you. It didn't matter what it was. I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be the case probably for all time. Watch them write me like a really messed up role just to mess with me now.
They're geniuses. I love their work, but I absolutely love the series. I went in, I just saw the names attached. And again, I saw Lord and Miller. I was like, okay, I'm in. I saw Ben Schwartz, Sam Richardson. I'm just like, how do you not start watching? And so I didn't go and I didn't watch any trailers. I just hit play and
that's
watched
what I
it
do.
was.
I'm the same like you. I don't like when I know I'm gonna like something. Like when I just see who's involved, I won't watch anything. And same with Marvel movies. I was like, I just want to see what happens because I'm a nerd for that stuff too. I mean, I see you have a TARDIS and a DeLorean behind you, so it's like you understand the allure of like, oh, this like sci-fi magic superhero realm. So it's like I love going when I know I'm like I was like, oh, like same with Severance. I saw just like the beginning of Severance. I was like, doesn't matter. Ben Stiller's directing it. Adam Scott's in it. I think I'm going to give this a shot, and I can't wait to just see. I like to go in blindly. I don't like to read reviews because that always messes my head a bit before I go in. So I'm with you, and I would have done the same thing, and I will do the same thing for the second season of Afterparty because I'm not in that one. So like, I can't wait. I don't want to know a thing about it. I just want to press play and see what happens.
Yeah. So you step into the series knowing nothing about it, and episode 1 starts one way, and then episode 2 is a completely different feel. Then by the time we get to your episode where you're singing and dancing and just the whole 9 yards, I was blown away. I went right on Twitter. I was like, if you're not watching the Afterparty, you have to be watching the Afterparty.
Oh, that's so nice of you, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean, I just was. I mean, it's one of my favorite of the year for sure. I watched a little bit of it again to just kind of refresh my memory to speak with you, and I was like, man, I'll be finishing it again. It's just so damn good.
That's great. And you know what's so fun for you now that you've watched it means you know who the killer is. If you watch who the killer is on your second viewing, she or he is dropping little things the whole way through the show. And also there's little puzzles that you might have missed. Like every episode has a puzzle. Like there's a puzzle in Morse code in the first episode. There's a puzzle in the flags in the second episode. So it's like there's all these fun things that if you rewatch now that you know what the end result is, you can find all these fun things.
It's like the Sixth Sense.
A lot of people are saying that we're the TV show version of the Sixth Sense.
I thought I was being creative there. See,
No. You're the first person who said it.
So Jasper is a lot of fun to watch. A little overbearing at times, kind of a great friend, kind of a lot of everything. What do you think of him, and how would you describe him?
I think that he is someone that when he was younger and in school, he always wanted to be like a pop star, or not even a pop star. I wouldn't say pop star. He wants to be a musician. I think he doesn't want to be a pop star. He wants to be that real musician that everybody respects and loves. And he loved it. And life gets in the way, and he wasn't able to live out his dreams. But I love playing him as a character that had that drive. And then when he sees his best friend or his ex best friend Xavier start to have success and become this big thing, he thinks that, you know what, maybe I could still make this dream happen. So I love the idea of him following his dream. But basically, he's an audio visual, a guy who works in an AV type job, but has dreams of being a musician.
Okay. Was that your biggest choreographed scene and musical on camera? Like,
Oh my
in
God, it
your
was my
career?
only my first time I've ever done choreography in my life. I've never done choreography ever. So it was
Wow.
like Kat Burns, who did Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, came in and she would teach me a dance and I'd try to learn it and stuff like that. And then incredible dancers would come in and it was just my job to like try my best. And so I feel like we lucked out and it looks great and it came out awesome.
Oh, it looks incredible. Honestly, I would have thought you've done it before, like a lot more. And
Oh,
it's
nice.
I
First time.
looked through your IMDb, through your filmography, and I was like, I don't see anything here that I recall. Maybe
I'm
in
sure
some
I've
of your
done little
improv.
dances and stuff, but like there's never been like, so you do these moves and then you have a big dance group behind you. It was so exciting.
Did you have a favorite song to perform?
I love them all because they're so different. One being a rap was so fun because I grew up loving '90s hip hop and R&B, so it was really fun. And then and I love Hamilton too. And then to do
Mhm.
like that rock song where I'm like really belting and going crazy, and then to do like the soft, almost acoustic guitar version. So they got to flex all different types of musical muscles. So I love them all.
Did they know how much training you had in music before and how much experience?
After Chris cast me, he's like, okay, so we got to record these songs in a week. You can sing, right? Can you sing? And I go, yeah, you didn't. He goes, yeah, I just assumed. I go, you just assumed? My whole character is like sings for a whole 20 minutes. And he like laughed because I figured you knew how to sing and dance. All right, I'll see you soon. I was like, amazing. So from the beginning, that's how that started. He didn't
When you
really do his research.
when you're when you're working on a film or a series that has so many funny and creative people, what is the atmosphere like on the set? Is there being a great improv artist? Did you have that opportunity to do that, or would being a mystery, would it throw it all off the rails if there was too much of that?
It's a great question. So Chris gave us a lot of room to improvise. He especially let me go bananas. And the after doing improv for a while, you kind of learn that when you improvise a movie and TV, you want to stay within the realm of what's happening in the scene and the want of the character. If it's me talking to you and being like, Steven, listen, we're having a great time. What is that? A bear coming at us? Like that? Who you just changed the whole what the hell's going on? But once you know what your character is kind of getting at, you could play with the words within the text. You know what I mean? And then for this one, Chris would always be on set directing us, so he kind of lead us to being like, don't go too far this way because it says this, and we're trying to do this, and you got to plant this. So like you kind of know the things you have to plant and the ways you can play. And having Chris be a genius on stage with you is just it allows you to go. So he did let me go. He did let me go, and we got to. And I always was sure because he was so funny, him and Phil. I was sure they'd pick the right take. I never had to worry. You know what I mean? Like I could do 7 takes, take big risks, and I know they'd pick the funniest one.
What does your family think of you? Is it, seeing they're not entertainers themselves, what's their read on Ben, the actor, singer, improv artist?
They're very they're you know what's so funny? I think at the very beginning they were very nervous. They're very because it's an industry that it just failure comes hand in hand. It's just what it is kind of, you know what I mean? So I think they were nervous, but they like, they were rooting me on and believing in me. And now that I've had some version of success, they are over the moon. You know what I mean? I'm sending sonic messages to all their friends' kids. I'm sending them whatever they want. I'm helping them. They're rooting me on. They're always at my shows when I'm in New York. They're very, very supportive. I was a psych major in college. This is something that came, just like Katie Melito, whatever we just plugged, but it's like, so it's just like they're very proud and we're a very supportive family. We text every day. I talk to my dad and my mom every day. And so it's like they're over the moon that I found success and they don't have to worry as much about like, oh God, if this doesn't work out, what is he going to do? So it's been very loving and supportive.
That's fantastic. It's got to be great to have, to look behind you and know that you have that support and appreciation from the inside,
Yeah,
the fans.
I feel very lucky also. I know how many talented people there are that don't get to keep doing this type of stuff, so I feel very lucky too.
So, you just seem endlessly creative to the point that it's almost intimidating. What's it like hanging out with Ben Schwartz? Can you turn off the creativity, or are you always kind of just processing in the background?
Oh yeah, I don't when I'm on stage, I love when people look at me. When I'm in my real life, I don't need anybody looking at me. I don't need the floor. I don't need to be the clown. I don't need to shine. I get to just be normal and deal with my own stuff. But I love doing bits with people. Like fans will come up or friends will chat with friends. I love doing bits. I love making people laugh. And my brain does. I have a lot of ideas and I write them down. And so when I see something, I'll write something down and then it's so funny. I probably have a document of 100 pages. And once I write it down, I don't even think about it. I don't even think about it again. It's just in case I'm like, God, I don't know what to write right now. I could look at all these things I had. But my brain kind of is going all the time. But in my real life, I'm not like waka, waka, waka. But I love collaborating with people and I love being funny with people and stuff like that.
And you mentioned basketball. I learned that you're a basketball player. What kind of game do you play? Are you a defensive player, offensive, inside, outside?
Who's a defensive player? Shooting guard. I'm an elbow jumper specialist. If you give me an elbow jumper, I'm gonna hopefully knock that down. So I love a mid-range jump shot. My whole game is revolved around mid-range jumpers. I love it.
You still get to play a lot?
Well, my knee is a little bit banged up, so I haven't played in a bit. But one of my favorite things to do is just shoot around listening to hip hop. It's like my version of meditation. I love it so much. Shooting around, I don't need anybody near me. Shooting around by myself, listening to hip hop is one of my favorite things.
As a person and as an entertainer, what are some of your goals? Like, if you look back in 20 years, what story do you want to see?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I love to be able to keep doing the things that I'm doing and being creative in the ways that I like to be creative. I love to. I've sold a lot of TV shows and movies. I would hope to be in some of those and greenlight some of those. That would make me really happy in a couple of years if I saw that I was in something that I created. That would be exciting. I'm getting awfully close, so maybe it'll happen. Um, but a lot of my 20-year stuff is more personal stuff that I'm around people that I love. That all those things. In terms of work stuff, if I could kind of do what I'm doing now and still get to do that on this level, one of the biggest things for me is I want to be around the people that inspire me and are kind. So it's like Lord and Miller are perfect. They inspire me. They're kind. J.J. Abrams, same way. I've done stuff with him. It's like I love being around these people, and I love to get some more roles that I get to like play in, and I get to just like be creative with people that inspire me. Like so, if that's acting in a movie with Billy Crystal, which I did, and I loved her, being in a movie with Jim Carrey, or being in a television show with Steve Carell and John Malkovich, or being saying words that Greg Daniels wrote, like all those things are a part of like all this. If I can keep this up and kind of keep getting roles that make me excited and work with people like Don Cheadle and the people I've been working with, all that is heaven to me. I feel so lucky right now that it's just like, man, if I can keep doing this for a little bit longer and really work with the people that really inspire me and are good people, I would be over the moon.
Would you be interested in as a fan, would you be interested in being part of the Marvel universe or something like that?
Yes.
DC, Marvel?
What are you, crazy? Oh my God. I mean, DC, if I could be Plastic Man, I've been trying. I had some ideas for that type of movie, and I would love to be Plastic Man. In the Marvel universe, I am obsessed with Marvel comics. I mean, I have boxes
Oh,
of
really?
Marvel cards when I was a kid in here. Series 1 Marvel cards, and like, so I have a bunch of comics in there. So there's I've been watching all these movies, loving all these movies, and then would love to be a part of it. Love.
Man.
But I would also love to be in the Pixar universe. I'd love, you and I
Hey,
probably
you can
love
do it all.
similar things. I would
You
love
can
to
do it
do all of
all.
it.
You're what you offer. It's so diverse and you're so versatile. It's like I was going to mention that is there's not one thing that you've done that I say, how much I was going to ask, did you write these songs? What was your input? Because I've seen you speak in your improv and you just give off this, like I said, this creative fusion. I don't know if that's the right word, but this just
I love
creative
it.
energy. that's going on.
That's
So I
so
always
nice,
like
man.
think, you know, you must have your hands involved, but sometimes you're just working with other people's work, and it's fantastic.
I love collaborating and making people look good. I love being on stage with someone. My goal is to, I always want to be funny, but I'd love if I can make that person in front of me look awesome too.
I will cut this out if needed, but shameless plug. If you like Marvel, what you do, you should check out my podcast. We have 4 hosts. We interview like the visual effects team behind Spider-Man and Shang-Chi.
Oh,
And
cool. What's the name of the podcast?
it's called The Verse with a
The Verse.
exclamation point and an apostrophe. So let me finish up with a really quick question. 3 words to describe Ben Schwartz.
Oh man, it's hard to talk about yourself. I'm not good at that. Um, um, I will say what I hope people get. Hopefully, is kind, funny. Man, you can't call yourself kind and funny. Can you just do it? Can you just give me my 3? Steven, you're giving
No,
my 3.
I think that's good though. You
What's
know
the
where your
third one?
intentions are. Your intentions are kind. You come from a good place, so that's
My
not a bad
goal
way.
is to try to be kind to as many people as I can, and my goal is to try to make as many people laugh as I can. I mean, I really love that idea. And I think one of the ways that I've gotten where I've gotten is by hard work. I work my butt off. So maybe
There you go.
those
It's
3
not 3 words,
ideas.
3 phrases. That works.
There you go.
I
Great.
appreciate it. Ben, it was a pleasure to speak to you, and best of luck with everything going forward.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the chat.